Hello everyone, this is Archita and welcome to Concepts. In this video, we will study about vitamin A. So when I talk about vitamin A, there comes the Wald's Visual Cycle, which is very important for your university exam. So in this video, we will also see the Wald's Visual Cycle in detail. In this video, we will see the absorption, storage, transportation, and most importantly, biological function or biochemical role of vitamin A, deficiency manifestations of vitamin A, and then we will see the recommended dietary allowances of vitamin A. Now, firstly, we will see what are actually vitamins. Before studying vitamin A, we should know that what are vitamins. So, vitamins are basically the organic compounds which are required by our body in a very small quantity. So, vitamins क्या होते हैं? These are organic compounds जो हमारे foods में, natural foods में present होते हैं and are required by the body in a very small amount. Okay. So this is required for the proper growth and maintenance of the body. So vitamins का जो भी important role है, it is regarding the proper growth and maintenance of the body. Now there are various types of vitamins that are present. So now we will see the classification of vitamin. So in the classification, it is based upon the solubility. So there are two classes of vitamins. The first is the fat soluble vitamins and the second is the water soluble vitamins. So in the fat soluble vitamin, we have the vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So within the fat soluble vitamins, there are vitamin A, D, E, and K. And within the water soluble vitamins, we have vitamin C, which is an antioxidant, and then vitamin B complex. So this is the classification of vitamins. Now we will see how the deficiency of vitamins occurs. So किसी भी vitamins की importance it is related to the deficiency because deficiency manifestations are very common in terms of vitamins. So the deficiency of vitamins occurs due to the one of the following causes or reasons. It can be reduced intake. जो भी हम diet supplements ले रहे हैं, it has a very deficit or it is deficit in terms of that particular vitamins जिसकी deficiency manifestations हमें देखने को मिलती हैं, and then it can also be due to impaired absorption which we will see later on, or it can also be due to the impaired metabolism, or it can also be due to any kind of additional requirements by our body, or it can also be due to any kind of increased losses. सो अगर विटामिन डिफिशियंसी की बात करेंगे, सो विटामिन डिफिशियंसी बेसिकली इन्हीं कुछ 4-5 रीजनों की वजह से कॉमनली हमें देखने को मिलती हैं. द फर्स्ट वन इज द रिड्यूस्ड इनटेक ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर विटामिन्स व्हिच इज मोस्ट कॉमन, और इट कैन बी ड्यू टू इम्पेयर्ड एब्जॉर्प्शन और मेटाबॉलिज्म, or it can be due to additional requirements and increased losses. So this is the reason behind the deficiency of vitamins. Now talking about the vitamin A. Now, what is vitamin A? Firstly, vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin. We all know that vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin. Now, जो प्रोविटामिन है विटामिन A का, it is known as the beta carotene. प्रोविटामिन of vitamin A is the beta carotene. ये जो beta carotene है, it is present in the plant tissues. And इस beta carotene का structure यहाँ पे दिया गया है. You see that it contains a beta ion ring. What is this beta ion ring? This is the cyclohexanil ring. This beta ion is nothing but the cyclohexanil ring system. So this is the structure of beta carotene. And what are retinoids? Now when I talk about retinoids, तो कोई भी compounds जिसमें vitamin A activity अगर हमें देखने को मिलती है, then these are known as retinoids. And now we have the 3 different compounds जिसके अंदर vitamin A activity देखने को मिलता है. Now the first one is the retinol, because that means that it has a vitamin A alcohol group, and then we have the retinol which contains an aldehyde group, and then the retinoic acid which contains a carboxyl group because it's an oic acid. So it shows us that it contains a carboxyl group. So this was about vitamin A. Now moving ahead to the absorption of vitamin A, which is the major site of absorption of vitamin A. So intestine is the major site of absorption of vitamin A, because vitamin A fat soluble vitamin है, so it is absorbed along with the fats and bile salts. So यहाँ से एक reference निकल के आता है या एक चीज हमें समझ में आती है that during biliary tract obstruction, there is a reduced absorption of vitamin A, which can even lead to vitamin A deficiency. Reduced vitamin A absorption. इसीलिए मैंने आपको वहां पे deficiency के बारे में बताया था that how the deficiency of vitamin A occurs due to the impaired absorption or metabolism. So the major site of absorption of vitamin A is the intestine, and because it's a fat soluble vitamins, it is absorbed along with the bile salts and acid. So during bile salts and fatty acids or fats, and then during the biliary tract obstruction, there is a reduced vitamin A absorption. Now, how actually this absorption process takes place? So we all know that we have the beta carotene, which is the pro vitamin of vitamin A. So this beta carotene is then actually cleaved off by the enzyme dioxygenase. So dioxygenase जो enzyme है वो beta carotene को cleave off कर देता है to the retinol, to the retinal. Do not get confused between the retinal and retinol. And this retinol then gets reduced to retinol. Okay. Then this gets converted to retinol. And this retinol is again esterified, re-esterified with fatty acids, and along with chylomicrons, it is then transported to liver. और liver के अंदर in the liver stellate cells के अंदर this actually vitamin A is stored as retinol palmitate. retinol palmitate के फॉर्म में ये स्टोर हो जाता है लिवर में. ओके. So अगर बात करेंगे absorption की, so we have the beta carotene, which is the provitamin of vitamin A. Then it gets cleaved off in the presence of enzyme dioxygenase to retinal, and then this retinal gets reduced to retinol in the presence of the enzyme reductase, and then this retinol it then again gets re-esterified with fatty acids, and then along with chylomicrons it is then transported to the liver, and in the liver in the stellate cells it is stored as retinol palmitate. अगर बात करेंगे tissues में, so it is in the tissues this retinol is basically transported to the tissues as transretinal. So अगर tissues की बात करेंगे कि tissues में कैसे ये अब liver से रेटिनॉल का ट्रांसपोर्टेशन टिश्यूज में कैसे होता है. सो फ्रॉम द लिवर टू द टिश्यूज दिस रेटिनॉल इज बेसिकली ट्रांसपोर्टेड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ट्रांसरेटिनॉल. ट्रांसरेटिनॉल की फॉर्म में ये विटामिन ए इज देन ट्रांसपोर्टेड टू द टिश्यूज बाय रेटिनॉल बाइंडिंग प्रोटीन. यू शुड डेफिनेटली नो अबाउट द रेटिनॉल बाइंडिंग प्रोटीन. सो इसी रेटिनॉल बाइंडिंग प्रोटीन के थ्रू दिस रेटिनॉल इज देन ट्रांसपोर्टेड टू द टिश्यूज, and then it is then uptaken by the tissues. Okay, so again let me just summarize it for you कि absorption में when it gets stored to the liver in the form of retinol palmitate, फिर liver से tissues में जब transportation होता है retinol का, then it is in the form of transretinol by retinol binding protein RBP into the, and then it is uptaken by the tissues. So this was about the absorption, storage and transportation of vitamin A. Now here we have the biochemical role of vitamin A. So here comes the one of the most important cycle, which is the Wald's Visual Cycle. Now we here have the rhodopsin. Now what is actually rhodopsin? Rhodopsin एक membrane protein होता है, and it is present in the photoreceptor cells of retina. It is present in the photoreceptor cells of retina. So rhodopsin है, it plays a very important or major role in the vision. So here this is the clear and very beautiful presentation of the Wald's Visual Cycle. Now let me explain each and every step, which will give you the exact picture of the vitamin A's Wald's Visual Cycle. Now here we have the membrane protein, which is the visual protein present in the photoreceptor cells of retina. So ये जो rhodopsin होता है, it is made up of the 11 cis retinal and opsin. इसमें एक opsin protein होता है and the 11 cis retinal. So जब light when the light falls on the retina, what actually occurs in that case, photoisomerization and excitation takes place. So in that case this cis retinal gets isomerized to 11 transretinal. So जब भी light retina पे पड़ती है, so ये जो cis retinal है, it gets isomerized to transretinal and opsin remains in the retina. Okay. So during the conversion of 11 cis retinal to 11 trans retinal, there are various intermediates. बहुत सारे intermediates भी इसके during form होते हैं. For example, the formation of rhodopsin, firstly to bethorodopsin and then lumirodopsin, फिर metarodopsin 1 बनता है, फिर metarodopsin 2 बनता है, and then finally opsin and transretinal बनता है. But you just have to remember this कि cis retinal से transretinal बनता है when the light falls on the retina. Then this transretinal, then it gets transported or transferred to the retinal epithelium. Within the retinal epithelium, it can actually traverse to the liver through the blood, and it can also be converted into the cis retinal. So ये जो transretinal है, ये when it gets converted into the cis retinal in the presence of the enzyme retinal isomerase in the retina. रेटिना की जो सिस रेटिनल आइसोमेरेज एंजाइम है, इसकी प्रेजेंस में ये जो ट्रांस है ये सिस में आइसोमेराइज्ड हो जाता है, एंड देन दिस सिस रेटिनल अगेन देन कंबाइंस विद ऑप्सिन टू फॉर्म द रोडोप्सिन. ओके, सो दिस इज जस्ट द, यहाँ तक की चीजें हमें क्लियर हो गई हैं. एंड नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस है, जब ये जो सिस ट्रांस रेटिनल है, व्हेन इट देन ट्रेवल्स टू द लिवर, सो इन द लिवर दिस ट्रांस रेटिनल gets converted into the retinol. This is an NADH dependent process, and during this alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme is being utilized. So alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme contains zinc. So in that case, zinc also plays a very important role. Then this trans retinol again gets isomerized to cis retinol in the presence of retinol isomerase in the liver, and then this cis retinol gets converted into the cis retinal or oxidized to cis retinal, utilizing the with the formation of NADH in the presence of the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase in the liver. Then this cis retinal again then gets transported to the to the retina, and then again the rhodopsin is being regenerated. So ये हो गया पूरा Wald's visual cycle. Here's the Wald's visual cycle gets completed. So simply आपको just याद रखना है कि rhodopsin a visual pigment होता है which is present in the retina, and this rhodopsin is made up of cis retinal and opsin. Okay, when the light falls on the retinas, in that case isomerization and visual excitation occurs, जिसकी वजह से ट्रांस रेटिनल का फॉर्मेशन होता है. फिर रेटिनल एपिथेलियम में ट्रांस रेटिनल सिस में कन्वर्ट हो सकता है, अगेन इट कैन फॉर्म द rhodopsin, एंड व्हेन इट ट्रेवल्स टू द लिवर थ्रू द ब्लड, इन दैट केस ट्रांस से रेटिनल से रेटिनॉल बनता है, एंड देन आइसोमेराइजेशन होता है, एंड देन अगेन ऑक्सीडेशन होता है. इसमें एंजाइम ज्यादा कुछ नहीं याद रखनी, इसमें एंजाइम्स अल्कोहल डिहाइड्रोजिनेज एंड रेटिनल आइसोमेरेज आपको याद रखना है, एंड देन अगेन दिस रिजल्ट्स इन द रीजनरेशन ऑफ द rhodopsin pigment. Now just let me tell you that विजुअल पिगमेंट rhodopsin, जो भी आपका विजुअल पिगमेंट है, इट एक्ट्स थ्रू दी GPCR. इसका एक जो मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन है विजुअल पिगमेंट का, इट एक्ट्स थ्रू द GPCR विच इज द जी प्रोटीन कपल्ड रिसेप्टर के थ्रू ये जो विजुअल पिगमेंट है वो एक्ट करता है. बट ये जो सिस रेटिनल है, दिस सिस रेटिनल व्हाट एक्चुअली डज इज, ये जो सिस रेटिनल है इट लॉक्स अप दिस GPCR. ये इसको क्या करता है, ये लॉक कर देता है इस विजुअल पिगमेंट के रिसेप्टर को, and therefore ये due to this reason this visual pigment actually happens to be in the inactive form. ठीक है, सो यहाँ तक की चीज आपको पता होना चाहिए that why I am just explaining you the reason behind cis and trans. ये trans और cis का क्या एक्चुअली में रिलेशन, ये क्यों आइसोमराइजेशन इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज ये जो विजुअल पिगमेंट है इट एक्ट्स थ्रू द जी प्रोटीन कपल्ड रिसेप्टर, और ये जो 11 सिस रेटिनल है इट लॉक्स अप दिस GPCR, एंड ड्यू टू दिस रीजन ये जो विजुअल पिगमेंट है ये इनएक्टिव फॉर्म में रहता है. बट जब ये फोटो एक्साइटेशन होती है या आइसोमराइजेशन होता है, ड्यूरिंग दिस फोटो एक्साइटेशन व्हाट हैपेंस इज इट रिजल्ट्स इन द कन्वर्जन ऑफ सिस टू ट्रांस, एंड जिसकी वजह से क्या हो जाता है, इट रिजल्ट्स इन द एक्टिवेशन ऑफ दिस जी प्रोटीन. ये फोटो एक्साइटेशन की वजह से ये जो जी प्रोटीन है इट गेट्स एक्टिवेटेड अप, एंड इन रेटिना ये जो जी प्रोटीन है इट इज द ट्रांसड्यूसिन. अगर रेटिना के केस में अगर आपसे कोई पूछे कि जी प्रोटीन क्या है, तो इन रेटिना दिस ट्रांस प्रोटीन दिस ट्रांसड्यूसिन इज द जी प्रोटीन इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेटिना. जब ये एक्टिवेशन हो जाता है देन इट रिजल्ट्स in the generation of the cyclic GMP, and then the nerve impulses is being transmitted to the visual centers of the brain due to the activation of this G protein. तो जब activation होगा this G protein, उसके बाद ही क्या होगा, impulses या nerve impulses का transportation होगा. So this was about the Wald's visual cycle. So Wald's visual cycle is nothing but इसमें आपको rhodopsin pigment के बारे में पता होना चाहिए, and then आपको ये पूरा complete जो cycle है, ये जो chart है, ये आपको अच्छे से याद होना चाहिए. This is like exact representation of the Wald's visual cycle, and this is much enough for you to know about the Wald's visual cycle. I hope that this cycle is clear to you. Now we will see the dark adaptation mechanism. What is dark adaptation mechanism? एक बहुत ही beautiful explanation है dark adaptation mechanism का, is that जब भी हम sunlight में जाते हैं तो क्या होता है, there comes the bright light. Sunlight it's a bright light. So bright light के presence में क्या होता है, bright light के presence में जो भी आपके rhodopsin pigment है, it gets depleted up. It gets depleted up in the bright light. So ब्राइट लाइट के केस में जो rhodopsin के जो भी स्टोर्स हैं इट गेट्स रिड्यूस्ड और डिप्लीट्स अप इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ब्राइट लाइट. सो इस वजह से जब हम किसी भी सनलाइट से जब हम किसी डार्क रूम में आते हैं तो क्या होता है, वी फाइंड डिफिकल्टी इन सीइंग. हमें देखने में क्या होती है, प्रॉब्लम होती है, बट हम देखते हैं कि कुछ मिनट्स बाद इट गेट्स रिजॉल्व्ड, क्योंकि क्या होता है, कुछ आफ्टर फ्यू मिनट्स दिस rhodopsin गेट्स रीसिंथेसाइज्ड एंड वी आर एबल टू सी. सो एज अ रिजल्ट यहाँ पे ये बोल सकते हैं कि ब्राइट लाइट के केस में क्या होता है, rhodopsin का जो भी stores है, it gets depleted up, and due to this reason we find difficulty in seeing when we come from a bright light or the sunlight into a dark room. And after few minutes it gets improved up because rhodopsin जो होता है it gets resynthesized and the vision is improved. जो भी vision होता है it gets improved. And this ये जो adaptation का जो भी time होता है it is known as the dark adaptation time. ये जो time लगता है हमें अपने आप को adapt करने के लिए from the bright light in the dark to the difficulty in seeing in the dark room, and then जो भी time लगता है हमें अपने आप को adapt करने के लिए, this is known as the dark adaptation time. Okay, now when I talk about the photosensitive cells, so retina में आपके दो photosensitive cells होते हैं. We are studying it from a very lower standards. हम बचपन से पढ़ते हुए आ रहे हैं that it contains the rods and cone cells. Rods is for the perception in the dim light and cones is for the perception in the bright light and for the color vision. So जो rods में जो rhodopsin होता है it contains the 11 cis retinal. इसके अंदर भी 11 cis retinal होता है, and जब रोडोप्सिन जब 11 सिस रेटिनल की डिफिशियंसी हो जाती है रॉड्स में, इन दैट केस इट विल लीड टू नाइट ब्लाइंडनेस एंड इंक्रीज्ड डार्क एडेप्टेशन टाइम. ओके, सो यहाँ पे एक लेट मी जस्ट हाईलाइट इट फॉर यू कि द रॉड्स में जो भी रेडोप्सिन पिगमेंट होते हैं इट कंटेन्स द 11 सिस रेटिनॉल. सो 11 सिस रेटिनॉल की जब भी डिफिशियंसी हो जाती है, रेटिनल की जब भी डिफिशियंसी हो जाती है, देन इट विल लीड टू द नाइट ब्लाइंडनेस एंड इंक्रीज्ड dark adaptation time. Okay, so this was about the rods, and then further we will see the cones. So cones is for the perception in the bright light and for the color vision. So जब हम बात करेंगे cones की, so cones के जो भी photosensitive protein होते हैं उनको हम conopsin बोलते हैं. Okay, so the photosensitive cells which is present in the cones are known as proteins. Actually it's not a cell, these are the proteins. Just let me correct it. Okay, so this is the photosensitive proteins which is present in the cones. So these are known as the conopsin protein. So conopsin protein जो भी cones के अंदर होते हैं, these are of three types. The first is the synopsin. Synopsin, as the name suggests, it is for the blue color. It is for the blue color vision. And then we have the idopsin, which is for the green color. And then we have the porphyropsin, which is very simple, for the red color, for the vision of the red color. So these are the three photosensitive proteins which is present in the cones. Now cones के अंदर भी rhodopsin होते हैं, so which also contains the 11 cis retinal. जब इसकी deficiency हो जाती है, the deficiency of 11 cis retinal in the cones will result in the color blindness. So this is the difference between the color blindness and the night blindness. Now we will see what are the biochemical functions of vitamin A. So these are here जो भी 11 trans retinoic acid होते हैं, it plays a very important role in the maintenance of vision, promotion of growth and maintenance, and also it plays a very important role in the differentiation and maintenance of the epithelial tissues and in the gene expression. And it also plays a significant role in the maintenance of reproduction, because in that case it acts as a steroid hormone. Now this trans-retinoic acid has a therapeutic role, and in the therapeutic role it is used in the treatment of psoriasis and in the treatment of promyelocytic leukemia, because it plays an important role in the differentiation of the epithelial cells. So remember this, that this is important in the treatment of psoriasis and promyelocytic leukemia. So this is the biochemical function of vitamin A. Now talking about one of the most important factor, which is the deficiency manifestations of vitamin A. So within the deficiency manifestation, firstly we have the night blindness, and then we have the Bitot spot, and then we have the xerophthalmia, and then we have the keratomalacia, and then we have the keratomalacia, and then we had on the fifth we have the follicular hyperkeratosis, also known as rhinoderma. Okay, now we will see a certain important points about each of the deficiency manifestations. So when I talk about the night blindness, इसके बारे में मैंने आपको ऑलरेडी बता दिया है, बट अगेन जस्ट लेट मी टेल यू कि नाइट ब्लाइंडनेस के केस में क्या होता है, इट इज ऑल्सो नोन एज दी निक्टेलोपिया ऑल्सो नोन एज दी नाइट ब्लाइंडनेस. इसमें जो भी विजुअल एक्टिविटी होती है, इट गेट्स इन द डिम लाइट इट गेट्स डिमिनिश्ड एंड द डार्क एडेप्टेशन टाइम in the night blindness is gets increased up. In the whiteout spot, what you actually see is the grayish white plaque, and this grayish white plaques is actually adhere to the conjunctiva. So bite dot spot में क्या देखने को मिलता है, grayish white plaque, triangular plaque actually it gets adhere to the conjunctiva. In the xerophthalmia what you actually see is जो भी conjunctiva होती है, conjunctiva gets dried up and it gets thickened up and it also gets keratinized. जो भी conjunctiva होती है, it gets keratinized and therefore जब वो keratinized हो जाएगी, it loses up its normal transparency. So this was about xerophthalmia. Now this picture is a clear presentation of the keratomalacia. So here what you actually see is jab xerophthalmia, when it persists for a longer period of time, it results in the keratomalacia, and it actually leads to the degeneration of the corneal epithelium. So in the keratomalacia, there is a degeneration of the corneal epithelium. Now the fifth one is the follicular hyperkeratosis or the phrinoderma. So this actually results due to the hyper keratinization of the epithelium of the follicles. So जो भी epithelium है that lines up the follicles, in due to that reason follicular hyperkeratosis of rhinoderma occurs. So these are the deficiency manifestations of the vitamin A. Now just note one thing, that there is an isoretinone. Now what is this isoretinone? ये जो isoretinone होता है, this is the synthetic variant of vitamin A की जो synthetic variant है, this is the isoretinone. And ये जो isoretinone होता है, it causes the reduced secretions from the sebaceous gland. Sebaceous gland is basically an oil secreting gland. So isoretinone, which is a synthetic variant of vitamin A, it results in the reduced secretions of the sebaceous gland, and which prevent acne formation during adolescence, which results in the prevent acne formation during adolescence. So this isoretinone is a synthetic variant of vitamin A, which results in the reduced sebaceous gland secretion, and therefore it has a clinical role which prevents acne formation during the adolescence. Now, what are the causes of vitamin A deficiency? Here is a list of the cause of vitamin A deficiency. It can be due to reduced intake of vitamin A, or it can be due to obstructive jaundice, जिसकी वजह से absorption is hindered, or it can be due to the cirrhosis of the liver, which results in the reduced synthesis of the retinol binding protein, and therefore इनकी जो uptake है by the tissues is also hindered. And then it can also be due to the severe malnutrition, where जो भी amino acids हैं important for the RBP synthesis is not available, and during chronic nephrosis this RBP is actually excreted through the urine. So this can be the reasons behind the vitamin A deficiency. Now we will see the recommended dietary allowances of vitamin A. So in the children, the recommended dietary allowances of daily allowances of vitamin A is 400 to 600 milligram per day, and in the men it is 750 to 1000 milligram per day. Remember, the lower limit for men is the RD for women, and the higher limit is during the pregnancy period, which is 1000 milligram per day. So this is the recommended daily allowances for the vitamin A. Now, how will you assess the deficiency of vitamin A? So assessment is very simple. You can basically assess the level of the vitamin A in the serum sample, or you can assess the level of RBP, retinol binding protein, in the serum sample. So the normal level of vitamin A in the serum sample the is about 20 to 60 microgram per deciliter. Do not get confused between the microgram, milligram, deciliter, liter. ये चीज़ बहुत ही confusing होती है, but remember, do not get confused between these things. So assessment हम इस तरह से कर सकते हैं, and also we can assess it by the dark adaptation test की टाइमिंग, डार्क एडेप्टेशन टाइम की टेस्ट से हम इवेलुएट कर सकते हैं विटामिन ए की डिफिशियंसी को. So now we here have the dietary allowances or sources of vitamin A. So within the animal source, we have the milk, which is a good source of vitamin A, butter, cheese, and then we have the egg yolk as a major source of vitamin A. and within the fish liver oils are a good source of vitamin A, and within the fish liver oil we have the cod liver oil as a very rich source of vitamin A. And within the vegetables, you have the papaya, carrot, and as there is a saying that one carrot a day keeps the ophthalmologist away, so it is absolutely suited because carrot is a very rich source of vitamin A. And now we also have the mango, and we cannot forget the green leafy vegetables, which is again a very good source of vitamin A, including the such as the spinach. So these are the dietary sources of vitamin A. So here we complete up the vitamin A. I just hope that I'm able to clear the topic to you guys. And yes, if you find my videos helpful, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel Concepts. So just let me give you a quick review कि हमने क्या क्या vitamins में पढ़ा. हमने vitamins में सबसे पहले पढ़ा उसका absorption हमने देखा, and then we have seen its storage in the liver, and then how it has been transported. Most important जो है vitamin A में, it's the biochemical role of vitamin A which comprises of the Wald's visual cycle, जिसके अंदर हम देखते हैं vitamin A का role vision में. And then we have seen the dark adaptation time, जिसमें हमने देखा था rods and cone cells में synopsin and adopsin and porphyropsin के बारे में. And then deficiency manifestations is also very important. So vitamins के case में deficiency manifestation and Wald's visual cycle is important. And then we have seen the causes, and then how we will assess RDA. RDA आपको पता होना चाहिए, which is important for your again for your viva. And then the dietary sources of vitamin A. So here the vitamin A is completed, and I just hope that you find this video helpful. So thank you so much for watching this video. मिलते हैं next video में. Till then, keep studying and take care.